Success, the word itself echoes with admiration, with applause, with envy. But what it rarely echoes with, what we almost never hear, is the silence. The silence of late nights, the silence of empty rooms, the silence of walking a road where no one else walks beside you. This is the lonely road to success, and it's not a metaphor, it's real. People talk about the end goal, the glory, the victory, but few ever mention what it takes to get there. The days you question if you're enough, the nights your tears speak louder than your dreams, the moments you look around and no one is there to say, keep going. But this road, this lonely silent road, is where greatness is born. Because it's the only place where distractions fall away, where the voices of doubt go quiet, and all you're left with is your own voice. Have you ever felt out of place? Like you didn't belong in the crowd? Like the world spoke a language your heart couldn't understand? That's not your weakness. That's your sign. You weren't meant to follow. You were meant to lead. And sometimes the first step to leading is walking alone. The world has a way of teaching us to blend in, to follow the footsteps already made, to be safe, to be normal. But you were born to carve a path no one else has seen, and that path, it rarely comes with company. Most people won't understand. They'll question your choices. They'll doubt your dreams. They might even laugh. But here's the truth, you don't need them to understand. You don't need their approval. Because your journey isn't about them. It's about you. It's about the fire inside you that refuses to go out. It's about waking up with a purpose only you can feel, and daring to chase it no matter who walks away. The lonely road is not for the faint of heart. It is for the brave. For those who choose truth over comfort, growth over acceptance, purpose over popularity. And if you've chosen that path, if you're on it now, know this, you are not weak. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are becoming. You are rising. You are finding strength most will never know. So keep walking. Keep trusting, keep believing. This is the road where the real ones walk, the visionaries, the creators, the ones who leave footprints for others to follow when the world finally catches up. Walk tall, even if you walk alone. They say being alone is a weakness. They say if you don't have people around you, something must be wrong. But what they don't understand is this. There is power in being alone. There is strength in silence. There is clarity in solitude. When the noise fades, when the distractions fall away, you are left with the most important person you'll ever know, yourself. And in that stillness, something incredible happens. You begin to hear the voice that the world kept drowning out, your own. Solitude is not emptiness. It is not a punishment. It is space. It is space for growth, for healing, for truth. Some of the strongest souls you will ever meet are not the ones who always had support, but the ones who learned to stand on their own. They built their own wings, they found their own way, and in the process they became unshakable. You see, anyone can go far with a cheering crowd, but it takes a different kind of spirit to keep going. When the only voice cheering is your own, it's in those quiet hours when no one is watching that your character is built. When no one is clapping and you still show up. When no one believes in you and you still believe in yourself, that is strength. True strength isn't loud. It doesn't need to prove anything. It just is, solid, steady, silent. This chapter of your journey, this chapter of being alone, is not a detour, it's a foundation. It's where you become who you're meant to be. Not for others, not for applause, but for you, because you are enough, you always have been. Not because someone told you, but because you discovered it in the silence. So next time you feel alone, don't run from it, sit with it. Listen to what it's trying to show you. Learn the sound of your own truth. In solitude, you will find the roots of your courage. In solitude, you will meet the strength that never needed to shout. In solitude, you will remember who you are and who you are becoming. Alone doesn't mean broken. Alone means free. Free to grow, free to fall and rise again, free to become stronger than ever before. So honor this season. Walk this part of the journey with grace, and know this: those who walk alone now will walk ahead of many later. Because the ones who stand alone are the ones who carry the light. They didn't believe in you. They didn't see your vision. They didn't understand your fire. And that's okay. Because the most important belief you will ever carry is the belief you hold in yourself. There will be days when no one claps, when no one notices your effort, when the world seems blind to your progress. But those days aren't setbacks, they're tests. Tests of whether you can still believe without applause, without permission, without anyone saying you're doing great. Can you keep going when the lights are off? Can you trust your steps when the path is unclear? Can you back yourself when everyone else turns away? That's the kind of belief that builds legends. Not belief handed to you, but belief forged in your own heart. Because the truth is, no one else is required to see your worth. No one else has to understand your journey. No one else gets to decide if you're capable. That power has always been yours. You are not here to prove anyone wrong. You are here to prove to yourself that you are right. Right to try, right to believe, right to dream wildly and walk boldly. Self-belief doesn't scream, it doesn't beg for attention. It simply says, I've got this. And it says it again, even when things fall apart. When you learn to stand on your own belief. You stop waiting for permission to live your life. You stop asking if you're good enough. Because you know that you are. You stop shrinking to fit into the expectations of others. Because you've outgrown them. Self-belief is the moment you decide, I don't need them to believe in me, I believe in me. And from that moment on, everything changes. People begin to notice something different in you, not because you tried to impress them, but because you stopped trying altogether. You started showing up as who you really are, and there is nothing more powerful than that. That kind of belief, quiet, unshakable, self-made. It's rare, it's radiant, and it's yours to carry, so when doubt whispers in your ear, whisper back louder, I believe in who I am, I believe in who I'm becoming. And I'm not going anywhere. You don't need the world's permission, you don't need the world's applause. You only need one thing, to believe in yourself enough to keep going. That belief, it changes everything. Pain. It's the part of the story no one wants to tell, the chapter most try to skip, but pain, raw, real, unavoidable pain. That's where everything changes. You weren't broken by the pain, you were built by it, you didn't fall apart. You fell into place because every scar you carry is not a sign of weakness. It's a symbol of survival. They don't see what you've been through. They don't know the battles you fought silently. The nights you questioned everything. The mornings you pulled yourself out of bed. With nothing but hope and habit. But you know, you remember, you carry it in your soul. The truth is, pain has a way of revealing who you really are. Not when everything is easy, but when everything hurts and you keep going anyway. When the world says stop, and something inside you says, not yet. This chapter of pain, it didn't destroy you, it deepened you. It gave you compassion, it taught you empathy. It opened your eyes to the quiet suffering of others, and gave you the strength to say, me too. Because once you've walked through darkness, you begin to see differently, you begin to speak differently, you begin to live differently. In that difference, that depth, that's what makes you unbreakable, not because you're invincible, but because you've been broken and rebuilt, because you've known pain and turned it into power, because you've stood in the fire and didn't run. Pain taught you what nothing else could. It showed you how strong your spirit really is, how deep your courage really goes, how real your fight really was. And now you wear your scars not as shame, but as armor. You walk taller. You speak softer, you love harder, because you know what it's like to feel shattered, and to put yourself back together, piece by piece, truth by truth, until you became something stronger, something wiser, something whole. You are not defined by the pain you've been through. You are defined by how you rose from it. And that rise, that quiet, steady, relentless rise, is what makes you unstoppable. So carry your pain not as a burden, but as a badge. Because you didn't just survive it, you transcended it. You turned wounds into wisdom, and you became unbreakable. There comes a moment when you stop hiding, when you stop shrinking, when you stop trying to fit into the boxes the world built for you. Because you realize you were never meant to fit. You were meant to stand out, to stand tall, to stand true. Living true isn't easy. It takes courage to speak your truth. It takes strength to walk your path. It takes heart to live as exactly who you are, in a world that constantly tries to shape you into something else. But once you taste the freedom of authenticity, you'll never go back. This final chapter is not about becoming someone new. It's about returning to who you've always been, before the doubts, before the fears, before the noise of the world drowned out the voice inside you. It's about stripping away everything false and standing in your truth. Naked, real, unapologetic, because when you live true, something incredible happens. You start to breathe deeper, laugh louder, love harder, and walk lighter. You stop trying to impress. You stop chasing approval. You start feeling peace. You start finding joy, not because life got easier, but because you stopped fighting yourself. The most beautiful kind of pride is not loud, it's quiet, it's the kind that whispers, I stayed true. I didn't bend. I chose me. In that kind of pride, the pride of living your truth, it cannot be taken, it cannot be faked. It cannot be shaken. You don't need everyone to love you. You don't need the world to clap. You just need to look in the mirror and say, I'm proud of who I am, I'm proud of who I'm becoming. And I'm proud I never gave up. This life, it's yours. No one else gets to live it. No one else walks in your shoes, so live it fully. Live it honestly. Live it proudly. Because in the end, the most powerful thing you can ever be is yourself fully, freely, fearlessly.